neighborhoods, especially Fishtown, what they are.
An even better joy is tasting what our neighborhoods can deliver. So, of course, before Kay and I ever allow the public to go to one of our events, we feel it's important to taste their wares on the air at the risk of even public intoxication. And I am proud to say that we've had Evil Genius on. Thank you, Trevor Hayward, for coming in, owner. And, Kay, if you remember, we had a beer, which I guess we're probably not going to have this time, infused with Lucky Charms. So it's perfect for the breakfast for all alcoholics.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Uh-oh.
And speaking of beer, a little birdie told me that my favorite bar in the neighborhood might be opening back up soon.
Which is your favorite bar?
The Saint.
Oh, what was I thinking?
Right. So if you guys didn't know.
We're very excited. It's been a while.
It has. The St. Lazarus Bar has been closed since the beginning of the pandemic. And I'm very excited for them to open back up. They did just announce that bar seating was back on the table in a modified version, of course.
Never thought I'd say these words, but thank you, Dr. Farley.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to be saying them a lot more, but I'll give the man props today.
Yeah, probably not. But so look for the Saint to be opening in the next couple of weeks.
Can't wait. By the way, you know we have an opening today.
Really?
Because the fine Fishtown Church, of course, is known for what food you can shove down your gullet. Mm-hmm. And I know I make that sound in the most appetizing sense of shoving food down your throat. But Vince's Pizzeria, right on Frankfurt and Richmond Streets, is opening its doors today. It looks beautiful. I have to be honest, you can never get tired of pizza, and their pizza is awesome.
I saw some pictures of the pizza. The pizza looked immaculate.
Yes, and luckily, and we'll get to this because I'm really dressed to have sauce and things all over my person.
Oh, absolutely.
Today's
a great day for that.
It's a perfect day, but please get out and try it. Exactly. Thank you, man. Again, I want to take Matt home with me and even in work so I can have sound effects follow me throughout the day. Mm-hmm. So I have shtick. Mm-hmm. This is how I amuse myself. Kay, do you have anything else?
I do.
In the corner. I keep interrupting you.
No, you're fine. So before, like I said, we're going to save what's happening tomorrow because tomorrow is Thursday. Wow, it's been a week already. I'm going to save that for once our guests come on.
Gotcha.
But I did want to introduce our new segment.
New segment. Matt, you got something for a new segment?
Well, he doesn't need anything because the new segment involves...
I like a new segment sound effect. Hold on.
Oh. He's going to work on it.
Okay.
But so this new segment is called Kay's Track of the Week. So for those of you guys who don't know, in my other life, all of my other hats are in the Philly entertainment world. And
yes.
I love music, live, breathe, eat, all music.
Where can they find out how to find out more about you, Kay?
They can...
Shameless plug of the week.
They can go to my business website, fontproductions.com. That's PHANT. Or they can follow me on Instagram at FontPhilly, PHANTPHILLY.
Snap. And what are we going to be listening to now?
So a little birdie told me, again, these birdies were in my ear
Where
this
do you
week.
find these birdies?
You got to have your ear to the ground, Mark.
You really, really do.
But somebody told me that one of my favorite Philly R&B artists is about to be releasing some new music soon.
Get out.
So I figured as a little treat, I would play you guys her most recent single. So
Cool.
This is... Go ahead.
I keep interrupting because I was going to say, is there any chance, because I think everybody knows that me and Hypness go together.
Uh-huh.
Will I know who this person is?
So she has been on the airwaves. She's regularly played on 103.9.
Okay. I know there is a station called 103.9.
She also headlined Blocktoberfest in 2019.
I actually headlined that 2016 through 17. Thank you very much.
But outside of that, I don't know if you would know her, Mark, but half of Philadelphia should know her.
Well, let's go for them. It's not just about me.
But so the artist's name is Suzanne Christine. She is a personal friend of mine, a great person in general, but she's also an amazing singer, and she's been at this for quite some time. Philly born and raised. She really reps the city in the best way. And, she's been on The Quincy Show. She's been on the news quite a few times. She's played at City Hall. So she's really a Philadelphia treasure. So this is her latest single called Sexy Disco.
Oh, love it. That was my nickname in college, Matt, by the way.
So like I said, that was Sexy Disco by Suzanne Christine.
I love that, by the way. All I'm going to hear in my head all day is sexy.
Move it on, move it on.
The Sonny and Cher of Fishtown. Thank you. By the way, that was awesome. People can't see this. Literally, dancing broke out in the WWDB 860 AM studios. People actually stopped their cars, pulled out, started shaking their moneymakers.
Right.
Even Matt had the little overbite going.
Yeah, I might have pulled my back a little.
Yeah. That's why I stayed in my chair. But that's awesome. Now, Kay, can we expect this as a new addition to the corner?
Oh, absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah, so Kay's Track of the Week is going to be a regular thing. So that being said, Philadelphia musicians, if you don't have my email address already, you should probably get it.
Get with this.
And send in your tracks for Find It in Fishtown Live.
Love it, love it. Again, it's Sexy Disco by who?
By Suzanne Christine.
Love it. I'm buying it today. Do people buy these things anyway?
You can. It's right now. It's released on all platforms, so you can go out and stream it. You can download it. You can go to Suzanne Christine's website, SuzanneChristine.com. Post everything about her. #Sudat. And like I said, if you want to hear her new music, a little birdie told me it will be giving a sneak peek on Friday on Glockaware Radio, which is an internet radio station here in Philadelphia.
That's awesome. And for those listening who didn't know Kay, apparently she's constantly followed by birds. So thank you for all that information. But before we take a break and get into really, Kay has been studying the NFL draft board for months.
I barely slept last night.
She can't
just
wait.
trying to cram it all in.
If I hear it one more time, they better take Patrick Surtain. You know what? I hope they don't take a quarterback. Literally, I'm like, just get with Sexy Disco. That's all you need to focus on. But before we take our break, America calls for it. Infotainment demands it.
Absolutely.
What's Mark wearing?
Oh, hi, Mark.
What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What are you wearing?
Literally my favorite part of the show.
He earns his salary in finding these. What are you wearing today? And that, of course, is brought to you by Fabulous Fabrica in Fishtown. Get the best in entertainment. In fact, I think, Kay, you're going there tomorrow, right?
I am. I'm very excited. I am taking the, well, not in-laws, but my partner's
kinda.
parents. Yeah.
And I'm always curious, before we get to really what the diva's wearing today, is how parents take to the acts, because the acts are very eclectic, diverse.
Yes.
There's some burlesque, there's some drag shows, all awesome. Again at Fabrica. What are you foreseeing the reaction may be?
Well, like we're gonna find out soon, I'm going to be pre-gaming dinner, and then continuing to drink through dinner. And the in-laws also are very entertaining and love to party and have a great time. So we're going to have quite a few laughs. I can already tell.
Love it, love it. But real fast, folks, I think today we've sort of switched roles. If you're looking at Kay Anderson, besides Big Hair Kay is back. We love Big Hair. She's got the vintage Philly shirt with Phil and Phyllis on there, which know that I actually have that sweatshirt with socks to match. For those that don't remember Phil and Phyllis, they were the mascots for the Phillies back in the 70s when I was a young lad and had hair. Oh, look at the Pumas. Love it.
Shoes, I was going to say, my shoes do
love
match, though.
the kicks with the color. Today, I'm in very much business attire, dare I say GQ-ish. I have a meeting today. I actually do work, and we're meeting with some of the big wigs from the Rivers Casino.
Ooh.
So today is just simply sport coat. By the way, everything matches, nothing loud, unless you count the socks as a little loud.
No, I think those
They're
are
like
appropriate.
Argyle-ish, you know.
Yeah. I like the shoe choice, too. I see what you did there.
Well, I was like, because today is walking.
Right.
We're giving them a tour of the Fishtown district, which there's so much to see. And by the way, where would I tell them to find more information?
You can go to fishtowndistrict.com.
There you go.
Our YouTube page, Fishtown District, or Facebook, Fishtown District.
So, America, take in what I'm wearing and know that next week it'll be back to blinding colors and mixed match socks. So, but I do this to show that I can represent very well. Took me a little longer today to find out of the dry cleaning the nice clothes to wear because we've really not had to do it.
At least you take your clothes to get dry cleaning. I swear, I just buy a new dress.
Do you know when these were sitting from? I looked at the ticket, March 20th of 2020. I just picked them up last week.
Oh, so those were your interview clothes.
Yes, yes. Once I got the job, I was back into my, very large, loud Hawaiian shirts. Guys, we're just going to give you a teaser, then we're going to take a break. Tomorrow is the NFL draft. And how's the Fishtown District celebrating it, Kay?
We are going to be at Evil Genius, again,
Shocking.
our favorite spot to drink some beers. One of our favorites because we do have quite a few. Oh, I'm sorry. And there's going to be some live potting going on with Inside the Birds.
So if you want to hear... There you go. See, Matt's all go birded up today, so he's ready to go. Do you have
It's
questions
not much
today?
different than any other day, but you're
No,
right.
I know that, but trying to make it like it's a theme. Matt, just go with me.
I tried so hard to find my Eagles shirt this morning. I looked through 3 different drawers.
Well, wait till you see what I wear tomorrow. There'll be no mistaking
You
which
have
team I
one
get my
Eagles shirt?
allegiance. What's that?
Yes, I have one
Find
Eagles shirt.
my Eagles.
I have
had
like
to decide
12.
which one to wear.
Yes.
No, see, and my partner calls it the ugly bird shirt. Because did I mention he's a Cowboys fan?
And you know what? But this offseason has been such... I don't know that we've seen anything like it, from controversy with the owner and the general manager who's making picks, to the firing of a coach, to the trading of a franchise quarterback. And now we're at draft time. And by the way, I don't know if you saw this, Kay. Our new coach, do you know how he tests competitiveness
How?
of prospective draftees? He said this. He'll just take them and challenge them to a game of rock, paper, scissors.
Why did I know it was going to be rock, paper, scissors?
Because that gets heated.
People cheat.
Yeah, well,
Are you an shoot or do you shoot? Because that's a
I do
old
whatever will
debate.
get me an edge. Just put it to you this way.
Oh, so you're an shoot.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, exactly. I like you to give me a tell, like putting down paper, so I can put the scissors down. But we have the best in the business who is going to break it all down for us. Our Inside the Birds team with Adam Kaplan and Jeff Mosher. Together, they are well older than Kay in experience on covering all things Eagles, so we can't wait to get into it. We'll be back in 2 to 2 with 5 to the Fishtown Live.
It's been part of Philly for over 10 years, so Rivers Casino Philadelphia knows how you like to play. With better odds, more playtime, an upgraded rewards program, plus a state-of-the-art sports book, great restaurants, and more. Everything that real players want, without the overpriced distractions. Rivers Casino Philadelphia is for those who play to win, not play to pay for some fancy new place. Rivers Casino Philadelphia, always on our game. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Mom and Dad used to argue about everything, especially about Dad's drinking. My family went from totally crazy to quiet, calm, and even peaceful when Mom started going to Al-Anon family groups. I wanted a better relationship with Dad, so I asked Mom if she would take me to her Al-Anon meetings or to Alateen. I'm sure glad I did. If someone's drinking troubling you, you might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-ALANON or go to alanon.org.
What is hope? Hope to me was just that he would get to come home. I had no idea how hard it would be once he got back.
I wish she'd stop drinking so much. She thinks it's helping, but it's not. I hope she sees that soon.
I act like I don't care if he comes to my games, but I hope he does.
I used to hope he'd find happiness again. Now I hope our marriage makes it.
I hope Grandpa will get help. He thinks it's too late, but it's not.
With everything that he's going through, I hope he sees a counselor. I just want my brother back.
I hoped he'd get help. Stop hoping things would get better on their own. He told me to stop asking. I didn't. Then one day he asked for a ride.
Hope is knowing there are other families just like yours, that the veterans they love got help and recovered. Go to maketheconnection.net and turn hope into action.
Welcome back, everybody, to Find It Fishtown Live here on WWDB 860 AM. Brought to you by the fabulous Fishtown District for the best in entertainment, infotainment, really. Dining, strolling, living, being. Go to thefishtowndistrict.com to find out everything happening. Also, please look at our punums as we do this show, especially I dressed up for y'all.
He sure did.
Yeah, that's right. Where do we go, Kay, to check out everything Fishtown District and to watch us?
You can go to our Facebook page at Fishtown District. We also have an Instagram at Fishtown District. And we have our YouTube channel called Fishtown District.
We got a lot of platforms. Not as much as our next guest, by the way. By the way, I know everybody's going to want to call in and ask our NFL insiders after you get Kay out of the way about what's happening and what's going to happen tomorrow night. So give us a call at 888-329-3306. That's 888-329-3306. Love to have this guy on. Have worked with the Inside the Birds team. In fact, last year, even during the pandemic, they called Fishtown their home for their pregame shows at Goose Island Brewery. Unfortunately, Goose Island's on a little hiatus. We hope they'll be coming back to us. But even during the pandemic, people flocked like they were going to Mecca on a pilgrimage to see these guys and get insight that you can't get from anywhere else. We're looking forward to having them join us tomorrow night for a pre-draft podcast viewing party from 5:30 to 8. I'm prolonging it. At Evil Genius, I'm talking about Inside the Birds with the next pick. Please welcome, you know him, you love him, you can't live without him. You've seen him everywhere from Comcast SportsNet to ESPN to Fox.com to Scout.net. He was GQ Hunk of the Month for several years. Welcome, Adam Kaplan. Welcome, Adam.
Good to be with you, my friend. And boy, that was quite the intro. I appreciate it.
By the way, that's even half your bio. I haven't gone through your male modeling career as well as the rest of your extensive experience.
The exact opposite. Thank you. Yeah.
But thanks for joining us today, buddy. I'm going to let Kay start with the first question because I have a sense we're going to lose her after this. So, Kay, what do you got for Adam?
So, Adam, I just wanted to know, as somebody with such an extensive career, where did you start? How did you get into this?
Okay, I would say that the reason why I became a reporter, this is kind of interesting. So, growing up in the 80s, Marc and I are close to the same age. I think I'm a little bit older, but growing up and trying to learn football was hard because there was well before the internet, And I just felt as a kid growing up here trying to learn about the Eagles, I wasn't getting enough information. So it was always my passion to learn. It's why I became a reporter. I wanted to find out the truth and how, when it comes to the National Football League, particularly the Eagles in this market, I wanted to know how they put together a game plan. Why did they make that call? Why did they draft that player? Why did they get it right? Why did they get it wrong? And I felt growing up I wasn't getting this. And as a diehard Sixer fan as well, I felt like I wasn't educated enough from the information that was out there. So I was like, I'm going to go get the information. That's basically what I did. I went to school for it, but I kind of toiled around in my 20s, tried to figure out life like a lot of us. And in my late 20s, early 30s, I finally said, all right, it's now or never. And I went after it. And, as Mark was reading my bio, that's kind of what I did. I just kind of climbed the ladder. And the internet, I would say the internet changed my career. It really, without it, you wouldn't be talking to me probably. We're streaming the show through actually watching you guys on Facebook. I was one of the first podcasters. We didn't call it podcasting in the late 90s. My nephew, Sam Caplan, and I, we did probably the first fantasy football show through what's called Real Audio at a station in Ballackinwood. And so why am I bringing this all up? This is my passion. I was going to figure out a way to get on the air, Kae, to answer your question, be a broadcaster, and to push for my passion, which was to gather information. And Mark knows me through this. That's why we call our show Inside the Birds. We want people, when they come to see us tomorrow night in Fishtown at Evil Genius, we want to reward them for going. We want to reward them with information that they cannot get anywhere else. Mark said that very well. That was when I came up with this concept, when I got Jeff Mosher involved 3 years ago. I knew he was the only person really in this market who really spoke my language. I want people to be better Eagle fans. And if we don't do that, we're not going to do a show. That's the only show that I wanted to do when I left ESPN, unfortunately, after the draft, or during the draft of 17, during that layoff. I'm like, all right, I want to do radio. I don't know how to do it. I mean, I've done radio for 25 years, but I wanted to do a show that brought the Eagle fans inside. And I look at our growth since we started it, when we were getting 500 listeners per show, which, I mean, for an Eagle-specific show, I'm like, okay, we have a lot of work to do. We're trying to figure it out. Look, you guys are doing a show every week. We're trying to figure it out. 3 years later, we get 10 to 12,000 people listening per episode. I just find it hard to believe. I thought it was wrong. I said to our business manager, Josh Weinfeld, I said, this can't be right. But it just shows to show you, if you're very consistent, doing a show every week, and you give the people what you want, Kae, to answer your question, we give them information they can't get anywhere else. That's why they're so dedicated.
And that's very interesting. And so I come from a podcasting background. I've been doing podcasting for probably nowhere near as long as you have, but probably about 4 years now. And transitioning.
You're a veteran. By the way, Kae, you are a veteran. Podcasting really blown up in 2 years because you stuck with it. Now, where did you start doing it? I'm curious. I
actually started consulting for radio stations and bringing cameras into radio stations. So I was always trying to bridge that video audio divide. And so I started at 98.5, went to Glockaware Radio, and I have been working with Sippin' with Sammy podcast since then.
Nice. Very nice.
I'm still here, by the way. Good morning, everybody.
Mark, this is my chance.
No, go, because I have a lot to... listen, there is no one better than Adam and Jeff, so I have many, many questions, but I love that Kae's all in this, so go, baby.
Love it. No, I like the Philly shirt. At least that was you who I saw, Kae, in the on Facebook, right?
Oh, absolutely. That is me.
That's a great shirt. That's an old school Philly shirt. I like it.
Thank you. But one of the things that I know from podcasting is that the transition from recorded pods to an actual live audience pod is very different. And that's something that hosts really need to think about and be critical about. So what is it that we can expect on Thursday? What's that environment going to be like? What's the crowd interaction? How is that going to work?
All right. So Mark talked about what we did last fall. We did a web show, which is basically a TV show. It was actually a 4-camera show some weeks. I mean, it's really hard to believe we were doing that. But we did. We put together a web show in a matter of 2 weeks. Josh Weinfeld, our business manager, came up with the concept. I'm like, I've worked in television, Josh. I don't know if it's going to work. How are we putting this together in 2 weeks? Mark knows. He was there. It was flawless. And what we did is we said, okay, can't do it like a podcast because we have Jeff and I are the show every week. Inside the Birds, our show, we have Quentin Michael, and Jason Avant, they do Q&A. They're in our family of shows, but our show is a 2-person show. But we're doing a ensemble show. So we brought in Greg Cosell from NFL Films. We brought in ex-Eagle Trey Thomas, and we had to have because of the pandemic, we had to have space, but we could not do. This is not a radio show. It's not a podcast. Podcasts are anywhere from 30 minutes to 60 minutes. It's going to be a 2-hour show, and it's not scripted. So we had to have meetings. We had to talk about it. We just said, look, we're going to go into with open ears and open eyes. We'll just see what happens. And what we did is Jeff and I would put together an outline. We'd look it over, but we wanted to be loose where you could just bag it if something news breaks, or we wanted to. The whole thing, Mark knows this from being there. It's all about dialogue and going back and forth. You do not want scripted talking. You want to just have. You have to have bullet points you want to make sure you talk about, but you want it to be loose. And the show was great from the beginning, and I never thought it would be what it would become. And we've got sponsors lined up for the fall. We just got to know what who the 4 people are going to be. We think we know who they're going to be, but so what do we learn? When you do television, which again I think this is the show that we were doing last fall is television. We have commercials, but when you control how much time it is, don't feel the pressure to break, to do this or that. Just be loose. And the traffic numbers support it. Our comments that we see in social media support it. So if you're going with something that you've never done before like this, I've been in television since '99, but never anything like this. Unscripted television that is not timed. You gotta know when to get in and out. But everything we do is kind of off the cuff and not regimented, and that gives us the freedom to do what we want. And we own the business, so no one could get in our ear and say you have to do this or you do have to do that. But we do answer to our listeners. If they don't like what we're doing, they're going to let us know. They're not going to agree with everything we do. We get it, but we want to give them. To answer your question, Kay, like tomorrow, we're holding information we're not going to put out. We don't put anything out on Twitter unless it's breaking. Everything we do, we purposely hold it for our shows. So we have stuff tomorrow night that nobody knows about. That's why our show is the #1 Eagle show in the country, because of that.
Say that.
And one of the things, Adam, is, I've had the privilege of working with Adam and Jeff, even in my past job in Mayfair. And one of the great things about it is they will break stories that get picked up all over the country. So we had, I think it was Corey Clement, right, Adam? And
oh my God, yeah, he gave away his surgery. Yeah, I don't think that went over well with the Eagles. I don't think they wanted that out, but yeah, that was interesting. Yeah.
So when people were wondering if he was coming, and he disclosed to Adam and Jeff, in front of an audience, and a podcast audience, that he had surgery. And sure enough, it got picked up everywhere. And so, you that's the type of information these guys dig. And I think for in a city like ours, and Kay, you know this, and this is what we love to talk about, we like to get under the who's doing what, the inside baseball, as we say, of what's going on. And certainly, I'd have to imagine, Adam, that the rumors are changing by the minute, right?
Yeah, it is. It's for me and Jeff. This is like tax season for accountants. I'm stressed like you can't believe. I play tennis almost every day. So I woke up at 5:30, play tennis at 6:30. I've got our talk here at 9 a.m. I got 4 phone calls lined up. We have our show tonight, and I got to do TV for an hour. This is what it's like, and I love it. I'm not complaining. This is my life this time of year. I love it. But it's high stress. You just mentioned it. The information, we got to figure out what's BS and what's real. And Jeff and I were talking at till 1 a.m. this morning. We were going over stuff that information we received, and a couple things that we kind of like, no, this is not right. But it's liar's poker. I get it. I was lied to last year by an NFL general manager pretty well, but I didn't go with it. I knew it was wrong, so I didn't use the information. So this is what my life and our life is about when you cover the National Football League from a high-level perspective. You got to deal with some BS, but it's fun. I've done this for 21 years, so I expect it, and I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest with you.
And you know what? I want to commend you because you kind of touched on 2 points there. I mean, earlier you were talking about how it's long format and you really need to dive into the art of conversation, which I feel like that's something that
Right.
A lot of hosts, especially in these short format, 5-minute YouTube video type of things that we're used to, a lot of folks don't really rely on those skills anymore. And I do think it's very valuable and important to be teaching those, especially through a genre that's as relatable as sports. And
Can I say one thing, Kay?
Absolutely.
But here's the thing. You have to know who you are and what you are. Like Jeff, through editing, he's done an incredible job. I don't know if you know this. Mark, over the last 2 weeks, Jeff has put out snippets of our interviews with Greg Cosell. We know that, in his case, talking about that, for video, for quick hits, 45 seconds to a minute are very big on Twitter. So we started doing it. A couple of the hits were 12,000 views within an hour. So we're like, okay, we're onto something. And the trial and error is real big here. So Kay's talking about short form. When Jeff and I started WIP in 2018, we were told, and I'm not criticizing anyone, we're just going because we're new podcasters. You don't want to do anything more than a half an hour. People will tune out, this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, I get it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a great listener, and I'm someone who seeks out information. Help me become better. So I'll listen. I'll do it. Our numbers weren't great, but it was because we were new. But Jeff and I, we did a little crowdsourcing last year. We asked our listeners, hey, how long do you want these shows? Because we feel like we need to go more than a half an hour. Everyone, we got 75 responses in about 5 minutes. Everyone said we want more than an hour. I was like, okay, that's what you're getting. And we're not gonna purposely make it an hour, but we know that we have so much more to talk about. We're not doing it. So why am I bringing this up? You have to respond to what your audience wants.
Absolutely.
There's not one size fits all in podcasting. I've never been so sure about something in the media before. It's completely opposite of what we were told and what we thought we had to do, because our numbers reflect it.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I wanted to commend you on that you just touched on briefly is the importance of your relationships. Because in a job like yours, you just said that your main bread and butter is giving people information that they don't have access to otherwise. And that information has to come from some source. So your ability to maintain those relationships and maintain that trust factor with those sources is incredible. So can you speak to that and how you've navigated that role?
Yeah, so back in 2000, I became a partner in a business. We had a website. Jay Glazer, who was an insider for Fox Sports, I became a partner in this company called footballinjuries.com. And he kind of helped me start my career as an insider and a reporter. He said, listen, people have to, if you're going to get information, you can't, the source controls whether you can put it out or not. Just don't burn anybody. I never forgot that. That was 2000, so technically 21 years ago. I remember he said, there's certain people you can trust, some people you can't. You'll learn that over time, who the trustworthy people are, and be supportive of people. They'll be supportive of you, and just develop sources and protect them. Your job is to protect the source more than anything. It's not about being first, it's about being right. And I've lived by that mantra for over the years. And, I learned a lot from people I've worked with and worked for. And I take it all in. I don't necessarily have to agree with everyone I work with, but as coaches tell me that I'm friendly with who work in the NFL, you always learn something, no matter who you work with, even if it's someone you didn't like particularly, you're always going to learn something, whether it's good or bad. And that's what I've done. I kind of weed out the stuff that I don't think matters, and I keep everything in that matters. And that's how you grow as a broadcaster, as a podcaster. You listen to your people. You don't have to agree. You're not going to do everything they say, but they're the ones who are listening. And another thing we do is, this is a really good tip for podcasters. If you listen to your audience, like every once in a while, we have a message board on Facebook, and someone will ask us a question. I'll go, Jeff, we have to do a segment on this. This is fantastic. It's stuff we're not going to think of everything. You can't know everything. It's impossible. So I don't crowdsource particularly, but I look at the questions and the comments. I'm like, we're doing that in the next show. Damn, I didn't think about that. So I'm a listener, man. I don't do everything that people want me to do, but I'm going to listen, because you never know what you'll learn if you listen.
Absolutely. And I know Mark is jumping at the bit to get into some specifics and some questions. So we're going to take a very short break and be right back in, as Mark says, 2 and 2.
It's been part of Philly for over 10 years, so Rivers Casino Philadelphia knows how you like to play. With better odds, more playtime, an upgraded rewards program, plus a state-of-the-art sports book, great restaurants, and more. Everything that real real players want without the overpriced distractions. Rivers Casino Philadelphia is for those who play to win, not play to pay for some fancy new place. Rivers Casino Philadelphia, always on our game. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Crooked teeth may embarrass kids whose families can't afford braces, and trying to fix their teeth themselves can make things worse. Luckily, there's Donated Orthodontic Services, a program from the American Association of Orthodontists. For children and teens who qualify and are matched with a volunteer orthodontist, treatment can be life-changing and help them smile with confidence. Learn more at aaoinfo.org.
It's Thursday night and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese.
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back, everybody, to Find It in Fishtown Live here on WWDB 860 AM. Brought to you by the fabulous Fishtown District. We're joined today by longtime NFL insider and all-around good guy, Adam Kaplan. And Adam, it's my turn now. Now we're going to dive into some of the good stuff.
Do it.
And I got to tell you something, Adam, for you guys, this offseason has to have been a gift from the gods. Howie, Jeff, fired coaches, trading of franchise quarterbacks. What does this tell you, anyway, about the current conditions of the front office of the Eagles as we look forward to rebuilding the team?
Yeah, let's start with the latter. It's a total rebuild. I know privately they don't want to say it's a total rebuild. I think the most I could get out of Eagles people is a semi-rebuild. But the thing is, they really look forward to this draft. Currently, the Eagles have 11 draft picks. If the general manager would just follow the board that's set up by his personnel director, they could turn this thing around in a matter of 2 years. Now, I know the quarterback situation is dicey. We'll have to see how Jalen Hurts does this season, assuming he is the starter. But they finally, Roseman and the general manager has finally kept the picks, at least for now he has. You know, in 18 and 19, they only had 5 picks each, Mark. As you know, as an Eagles fan, that's not a good way to build a team.
Not at all.
Have draft picks. So it's very unique. This offseason has been very unique, very tumultuous for the Eagles. I don't know that it's actually going to change. You mentioned the owner. Big fan of Jeffrey Lurie, but Jeffrey is too involved. He needs to understand he should not be influencing draft picks. It's not his job. He's not a football person. Just because you own the business, this is not a traditional business. This is not a business he started. He bought it, and he doesn't come from a football background. I know he loves football. I've talked to Jeffrey privately about this. I get it, but he has to understand. It's been well documented by the Inquirer and the Athletic. Jeffrey has an influence on the draft. It is, but he has to know what his limit is and where he should go and not go. So to answer your question, yeah, there's a lot going on. Tomorrow night's going to be fun. You obviously get into this, but this is a huge draft for them because this is the team that has a lot of needs, as you well know.
And Adam, certainly last year it's well documented that there was certainly a difference between the draft board of the Scouts and maybe Howie and Jeff's draft board, and going away from that, which caused the Jalen Reagor pick and Jalen Hurts and so forth and so on. Do we think, with all that's come out since, and I know no one can better assess that than you, do you think that Jeff and Howie have learned, all right, we got to stick with our board moving forward because of how, literally, think about this, 2017 were Super Bowl winners, and look where they are now.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Mark, about the Super Bowl and leading up to it, in 2016, I'm told that Roseman followed the board. Tom Donahoe, who's the former Bills and Steelers general manager, Howie brought him in as a consultant. He had him really involved. How, as you know, Howie got back his job. He was reassigned in 15 under Chip Kelly, and then he got his job back. Roseman, I'm told by two people, followed the board like literally to the T. Remember, he made the trade up to get Carson Wentz, and it was his best draft. Actually, if the Wentz thing didn't blow up, as we know, as you mentioned, it would have been not only Roseman's best draft, and to the point it is, but one of the best drafts in Eagles history. But unfortunately, as we know, Wentz is no longer here. It's another that's a saga that would take me 3 hours to explain. It's pathetic, but it is what it is. But getting back to what we were talking about, yeah, it's been a very unique offseason. The owner is involved, as we said, and I don't think though last year the owner had anything to do with Rager. That was the general manager. 100%.
Okay.
But Jeffrey, though, the Arthego-Whiteside pick and the second rounder in 2019, he absolutely influenced that pick. That's a fact.
And so as we sit here now, Adam, we have Jalen Hurts. We hear contradictory information. Certainly the impression is that the team is not completely sold on him. They're compiling picks even for next year or possibly this year for a trade for quarterback. Where do you see the position for the Eagles on April 28th at 8:44 a.m.?
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I would say with Hurts, I think that when you have a new coaching staff that is inheriting this player, they don't know the player. They did research on him last year because the Colts were looking for a quarterback in the draft. So they know what his tape looked like, but they've never worked with him. And it's just a wait and see. Yeah, he's the favorite. He'll be the starter. As long as they don't draft a quarterback in the first two rounds, and I'm not ruling anything out. Okay, I'm not saying they're going to, but I'm not going to rule it out. But as long as they don't, he'll be the starter. But we just don't know about Jalen Hurts long term. They're not married to him at all. They're just not. I could tell you this. I'll give you a little bit of a scoop here. If Carson, let's put it this way: if Doug Peterson was still the head coach, Carson Wentz would be the quarterback. I know
Sure.
Carson won it out, but if Carson was willing to stay, Peterson didn't get fired, Wentz would be the starter. There would be no competition. I'm told that was his plan. He 100% wanted to go with Wentz, and he wanted to rebuild him, but he obviously was never going to be given the chance.
And certainly we know the Eagles traded back from 6 to 12. Certainly the fans, for the most part, were against that move. You know how we are. We fall in love with picks, whether it's Kyle Pitts or Lamar Chase. What were your thoughts? Was that a smart move for the Eagles?
It's a great question because here's what happens. Let's say for tomorrow night, right? Let's say they stay at 12, and because I was talking to a couple teams who were telling me that the Panthers clearly are willing to trade out. They're going to wait to see if the players that they want, or one of the players they want, gets them at 8. But that's a team I know the Eagles have talked to. But let's say, for instance, Kyle Pitts, who's from the Warminster area, by the way, could be a superstar at the next level. Let's say that Pitts drops to 8. Do the Eagles trade up, which would require giving up draft picks? Guess what? If they stayed at 6, they might have been able to get him.
Right.
This is the painful part about it, that because you're making this trade so early, you're doing this 3 weeks before the draft, 4 weeks before the draft, you're not giving yourself a chance to know who could drop to you. And I know it's good that they have a first-round pick for next year. The value is fine. Roseman did a good job. But he now gave up the opportunity to get that super high-end player. At 12, if they stay there, they're going to get a very good player who will probably start day one, but they're not going to get that elite player most likely.
Sure. And one of the rumors, and this is one of my favorite parts, I know you get asked all about it, when they made the deal, the rumors were kind of swirling, and I think certainly a lot of our insiders kind of confirmed it, that they were looking to compile picks to go after Watson in Houston. Now, obviously, he's got his
100%.
Where obviously that has changed with all of his problems. Is that still on the table, or is that's done for this season?
They're monitoring the situation. Okay, as I understand it, they're monitoring it as other teams are. And obviously, as you're talking about right now, there's simply no way you could trade for him. Eagles, like every NFL team, has a security director. Dom DeSandro is their guy. He's great with law enforcement and intel. He'll gather his information. They'll also talk to NFL security. But you cannot trade for a player who either A, could be going to jail, B, may be suspended, or C, you don't know if he'll be available. If he's not charged with anything, he still could be suspended. Ben Roethlisberger went through the same situation, similar situation many years ago. He was never charged with anything, but he wound up being suspended. So you have they're keeping an eye on it because, as you know, Sean Watson's reputation before the stuff came out was sterling.
Yep.
Now you have to answer yourself this question: if you're trading for him, what are you inheriting here? And that's where getting information is so key here. You have to get the right information, and you have to know when you're trading for a high-profile player, you understand if you trade for a player and this guy regresses, or some of the stuff that's been outlined and alleged. If you trade for a guy like that, you have to know that he's not like that, because if he is, and you trade him for him in Philly, and you get it wrong, your career's over as a general manager.
Sure. And I mean, it's funny, when that came out, certainly fan opinion changed pretty quick. Like, oh, that's a great move. But, it kind of came back to kind of what you said, Adam, which was they made that move very early. Normally when you see moves like this, it's draft night, right?
Yeah.
The player you want's not there, you move back, or vice versa. Is there any other way to read it other than they were really looking to do a deal to get a quarterback?
I would say when you look at what they did from 6 to 12, they believe that one of the top corners would be there, and I don't agree with that. One definitely won't be there. Either Surtain or Horn will be gone, and there's a realistic chance both will be gone. That's their number one need.
Now, Surtain's my guy.
Now
we're going to talk about him.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in a second, because he's included about what I'm going to talk about. I was told by a team last night that there's 17 first-round picks out of 32. There's 17 that have a first-round grade. We know 32 picks will be made, but there are only 17. That means there's a cutoff. Well, Eagles know going from 6 to 12 that whoever they'll get is a quality first-round pick. But again, you talked about Surtain. He's not going to be there. It's not going to happen. The question is, will Horn be there? I don't think he will be, but it doesn't mean they can't get a quality receiver. There will be a quality receiver there, no question about it. There'll be a DN there that they like, certainly. But this team right now, as an Eagles fan, other than Darius Slay, who in the heck is going to start opposite him? Right now, they don't have a starter opposite him. Corner's a major problem.
No, it's scary. The defense as a whole is scary.
Yeah, getting older. They're older. This is a team in transition. I thought Jeffrey Lurie said it very well. They have a lot of work to do tomorrow night and Friday and Saturday.
Well, it's great for you, right?
Yeah, I know, because Jeff and I we're already starting to plan our Friday night show after the 2 rounds, and then we're doing a wrap-up show of the 7 rounds on Saturday, early Saturday evening, and then you got the undrafted free agents. It's a wild time, man. I got to tell you, I don't get very much sleep, but it's when you're doing this 21 years, you kind of rinse and repeat. But the pandemic, though, just to give your listeners an idea. The pandemic changed scouting, man. There's some parts, like Andre Dillard, their issue with Dillard is it had nothing to do with the pandemic. It was pre-pandemic, but they never got in front of him. Unfortunately, they were unable to interview him in person. I think this is partially why teams miss this, because in-person communication changes the game.
Absolutely.
And that's a problem for scouting right now, is these teams are just not able to get in front of these guys.
And was there a combine this year?
No.
Right. So there was another
pro days, though. We had pro days. We didn't have pro days last year. We had pro days this year.
Adam, I don't know that I've ever seen more record times for people running the 40, breaking the sound barrier.
Which is a problem.
Than at pro days.
Because you're not getting quality times. The times are faster at colleges than they are on Indy at the Lucas Oil Stadium. It's a problem, man. And then the heights and weights are different. It's really odd. It's just really odd. Like at Alabama, the receiver Smith, Devontae Smith weighed 170. 2 weeks later, he weighed 166.
Yep.
Like how does this happen? I wish I could lose weight that quickly. It's crazy.
Well, so as we have time left, one quick question I want to get right out of the way, because we hear the Penn State linebacker, who I think ran at the speed of sound at his pro day. There is no chance the Eagles are picking him, right?
You talking about Micah Parsons?
Micah Parsons, yes.
Yeah, none. No, it won't be. First of all, he's got character issues. It's really it's a really interesting situation. He's represented by Andre Odom, who's an agent from Philly, who also is Kyle Pitts. Parsons is a really smart kid, like I think the criminal justice major.
Yeah, similar to myself. Very smart, very
Really
fast.
Smart kid, but he has some pretty significant character knocks on him. I'm fascinated to see where he goes. Really, is he? Because on paper, on talent, without off the field issues, he's clearly a top 10 pick, maybe top 5. You'll know because when he goes, most likely in the upper half, that team feels comfortable with his character because you got to get in front of him. He's a guy you need to talk to. You
Sure.
need to figure it out with this guy. It's a great question.
So having said all who they won't take, two questions to kind of close.
Sure.
Do you think they're going to move up, and for who? And if they stay at 12, who do they take?
Yeah, let's start with the latter. 12 corner would be if one of the two corners goes there again. Both will not be there. I would bet $100,000 at most one of the top two corners will be there.
Kay's going to take that bet, Adam, for $100,000.
How about this one? I'll give you
A beer tomorrow night.
Well, that's easy, but yeah, that's true. Because well, we'll do something. We'll have to make a bet here. We'll figure it out tomorrow when I see it. But one of the corners, one of the receivers. It's the best available corner first, best available receiver second, and then trade up would be for a corner because again, one of those two corners they have to get one. I don't know that they would trade up for a receiver because I think there'll still be a good receiver that comes to them. And then Jeff and I are working on something pretty significant for tomorrow night, which I can't discuss, but it's something we heard that they may trade up for. I can't believe it, but I always have to check out any information that comes my way. I at least have to shoot it down.
Yes.
That's what Jeff and I are in the process of doing right now.
Well, with that perfect tease, as we tomorrow night, where can we find you, Adam, and where can people go to see and watch and hear you guys?
Yeah, so you actually have to help me with this. Is there at Evil Genius? Is there a happy hour?
There is a happy hour leading right into you.
Great. I will be there early. I have to have a beer. As you know, Mark, I like to drink on camera.
I do.
Me too. It's so funny. As you and I were growing up, you were not allowed to. You couldn't drink on camera. You could do. We break all the rules. So, our show is 5:30 to 7:30, 8ish, but it's definitely 5:30 to 7:30 pre-draft show. We'll get there early. We'll do happy hour. Myself, Jeff Mosher, Greg Cosell will be there. Greg is our tape insider, the best in the country. He's a part of the Inside the Birds family, and we'll take your questions. We're going to take questions through Twitter, Facebook. We'll have more information on our show that drops tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Eastern on every platform, as you know. And we will take your questions. It's particularly on our Facebook page, our Inside the Birds group on Facebook, and we'll take your questions there, and we'll answer them on live. We're actually, remember, the other thing I need to talk about, we're streaming the show, as you know, Mark.
Of course.
We stream everything. And we will stream it, and we'll stream your questions. And we actually did this when we were working with you in Mayfair. What we did is we would grab the questions, and Jeff and I would just take our phones, and we'd answer them on camera. And we'll do this one live on we'll stream it, but it's fun. This is the first time we've done this. We've had a pre-draft show like this, and we cannot wait. And we love working with you, and we appreciate your support.
Listen, we love having you. Kay's got her notepads ready to go of players that she's ready to compare.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to be there.
We'll be there.
Awesome.
So, Adam, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for being a great partner to Fishtown. Go Birds. And before we close, tomorrow night, my little guy, and not so little guy, turns 17. So happy birthday, Jared. Everybody, have a great day. See you on Find It at Fishtown Live next week. And see you tomorrow night on Evil Genius. Bye, Kay.
Later.
What might be right for you may not be right for some.